I love
Half-Life. It's such a well-made game and I keep coming back to play it. The story and the progression through the story is probably what brings a lot of players back to the game after not having played it for like 2 weeks. Having a progressing story also means that Half-Life has loads of chapters, and they contain story chunks and level styles that would be rather unique for that chapter. And sometimes even gameplay elements that are unique. On a rail. But what chapter is actually the best chapter? Well, today we're going to figure it out because I made this template right here and I'm going to rank every chapter from the original Half-Life from the golden and shiny S tier to the less spectacular but hey, you tried D tier. It's worth mentioning, by the way, that this is all my opinion, so if you'd rank these chapters differently than me, then that's totally fine. Tell me after watching the video how you'd rank these chapters. Now, roll the intro.
LambdaGeneration.
Alright, so, take number 2. I already recorded this, but apparently my OBS recording got completely corrupted while I was doing this. I don't know why. I didn't use any other settings or any different new settings or whatever, but it just got corrupted. Fun! Anyway, Half-Life chapters. We're gonna rank them. Let's go. So the first chapter is Black Mesa Inbound. Of course, the very first chapter of the game. So we are going to want to rank that somewhere, don't we? But where? Where are we going to rank this? Well, I actually know where I'm going to rank this already. I'm going to rank it in the C tier. Black Mesa Inbound is going on the C tier because, well, there isn't really all that much gameplay going on, to be honest. In Black Mesa Inbound, it was just you standing in a train cart. However, there was a lot of technical stuff going on around you, so at least there is that. It's nice the first time you go through it, but the more and more you go through it, it just kind of becomes really boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like I usually just kind of skip this chapter. So let's continue on to the next chapter, which is Anomalous Materials. Wow! It's where you get the HEV suit. It's where you get to explore the Anomalous Materials lab, and it's where you step into the anti-mass spectrometer for the first time. Or well, you don't step in the anti-mass spectrometer, but you step into the test chamber that includes it. So yeah. Very, very interesting chapter. However, I'm also going to put this in the C tier because there is just not a whole lot going on yet. It's just the beginning chapter. I don't feel a whole lot for it apart from maybe the test chamber at the end at this point. Although, you know, for a first-time player, it might be a little bit more interesting. But I'm doing this from my perspective. This is, again, my opinion. So if you have a differing opinion, then by all means, that's totally fine. Unforeseen consequences. Yes, the first chapter with actual combat in it. Woo! Well, sort of. You kind of step out of the test chamber after it's being totally ruined by everything. You have, you know, the whole ruined facility to get through. Or at least, you know, the Anomalous Materials lab, which is completely in ruins at this point. This is definitely the first B-tier map. Because this is where the game really starts, in my opinion. This is really where, you know, the ball sort of gets rolling. The next chapter is Office Complex. Woo! Yay! Reminds me of work. The gameplay is nice, the visuals are nice. It's overall just a pretty good chapter in my book. So, yeah, I'm going to put this in the A tier. We got our first A tier map. I mean chapter, not just map. It's not just one map. It's multiple maps stringed after each other, and that makes a chapter. We've got hostiles. Do we? Oh boy. So this is where the soldiers, the HECU soldiers, are first introduced. And apparently they are not going to be very friendly to you. I really kind of like the twist where you think that the HECU is going to actually help you, but they really are not. They're here to kill literally everyone involved with the F***ing another scooter. Are you serious? It's late at night. Go home. Maybe they are going home. I don't know. Anyway, it's going in the A tier for me because, well, I just, again, like the gameplay of this map. I like the fact that we get to fight soldiers here. And, yeah, it's a nice change of pace of what we've just gotten in the game. So Blast Pit, the worm level, the tentacles level, the tentacle level. I think it's pretty good. I really like the concept of having this like main enemy that you have to somehow defeat, but you can't defeat it just yet. You have to like go to 2 different locations to turn on some machinery first before you actually get to destroy the tentacle monster. Yeah, and it ends with a pretty satisfying ending of just burning the shit out of it. I like it. I think it's a really well-made chapter. So this is the first one that I'm going to put in the S tier. Woo! Our first S tier entry. Congratulations, Blast Pit, for achieving this momentous achievement. Power up. Woo! We got actually kind of a very similar concept as Blast Pit, really. You have this one central enemy that you gotta defeat, or else you just cannot really continue unless you do the tripwire technique at the barricade. But not everyone knows about that one. So you need to defeat this what was he called again? I forgot the name, but I'm sure he does have one. Gigantic blue fire monster. That's what I'm just gonna call it for now. So yeah, you have to defeat that one, and by doing that you have to go to a different location first to turn on the power, and then you can destroy the beast. I like it, but I don't like it as much as Blast Pit, because I just feel like that one was a bit more rounded out, a bit more, you know, a bit better formed. So this one is going in the A tier right here. I just think that power up is more of like not an exact clone of Blast Pit, but definitely it's like Valve liked the concept so much they were like, let's repeat it again but cheaper. On a rail. Woo! We got on a rail here. D tier. I hate this chapter. I hate this chapter. It's so boring. I'm sorry, I just have to say it. It's so boring. Whenever I play this chapter, I don't even step on the cart. Actually, I leave it at like exactly where this thumbnail is. Leave it at that like cross section right there. Oop. At that cross point. And just go on foot from there. I like it a lot better to just go on my own pace instead of being stuck to the pace of this cart here. It goes on and on and on and on and on, and I just don't like it. Apprehension! With the big fish and the assassins and you being taken hostage at the end by the military. Yeah, where am I going to place this one? Gee, I don't know. B tier. Again, I had to re-record this, so I already kind of know where everything goes. So that's kind of very unfortunate. I fucking hate you, OBS. I hate you, OBS! It's a fairly short chapter. There isn't really that much to it, in my humblest of opinions. If I think back at everything that happens in this chapter, it really isn't that significant. Apart from that very ending where, you know, you're taken hostage. That, you know, does have some major consequences. You lose all your weapons, for example. But other than that, I don't think the level has that much going for it. But I don't hate it either. But after that comes residue processing. You know, the chapter with the loads of conveyor belts and stuff like that. I'm not the biggest fan of the chapter. I think the layout can get quite confusing, especially when you play it for the first time. People might not really know what's going on, and they might get stuck at this chapter for a little bit. I don't like it that much, but I don't hate it as much as On a Rail, so it's going in the C tier. In concept, it's pretty cool, but playing through it, especially when you've played through it like a million different times like I have, it just kind of becomes a little bit boring. Questionable ethics. Oh, yeah. This one is going in A tier. I really like this chapter. From all the experiments you can do, from like the blast things from the ceiling where you can just disintegrate all the enemies in a room, to like the laser that you can use to destroy the wall, and even the you know, the cutting machine you have to turn off to save all those scientists. I just think it's really well done. I really like this chapter, and every single time I go through it, I'm like, hell yeah, it's time for questionable ethics again. Actually, I'm gonna upgrade this. I'm gonna put this in A tier. Fuck it. No one can stop me. This is my opinion. This is my show. It's a really, really good chapter, and I really like it. Just as Service Tension, because this one's also going in the S tier. What? I already have 3 in the S tier? How is that possible? I really like it because we're finally outdoors. Like, it's a really nice break from the gameplay that we've had before, which is all in like corridors and stuff. So being outdoors is just a really nice change of pace, honestly. It's pretty refreshing, if you know what I mean, because we finally get to experience some fresh air. So but the gameplay is pretty nice as well, and I really like the cliffside level. I mean, it's classic at this point, the cliffside level. Even though it has like a 2D texture as a skybox, and it's not really much more than that, it's still very charming and just super 90s to look at that. And yeah, I don't know. I just love it. Now forget about Freeman though. This one's going in the C tier. I don't know. I just really don't like fighting those snarks. I really just hate them. I'm sorry. I think that the underground thing was kind of fun, you know, where you're at all those like those gears and stuff that you have to like swim through. Although it does feel kind of janky at certain points, it's not that great. It's not my favorite chapter by a long shot, so it gets the C tier. Lambda Core. You know, one of the final chapters of the Earthbound levels. In fact, it's the final chapter that you do on Earth. Wow. So where does this land for me? Well, it lands straight into B tier. I don't hate it. I don't super love it either. It's really just mid. It's like the gameplay is fine. I like the reactor puzzle. It's fine, but after a while, it just becomes kind of a roadblock. Especially if you've played it a lot like me, it's just not really that interesting anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, that's again just coming from me, a veteran player. Someone who's new might actually really love it, but yeah, I personally just think it goes into the B section of this tier list. So there you go. Next chapter is, it's Zen, everybody's favorite chapter. No, really not. Okay, let me explain why this goes into D tier. I just think there's not much to it. I mean, yes, it does explain to you how the gravity mechanics work and stuff like that, but other than that, it's just a bunch of freaking floating islands and a couple of enemies and a stupid puzzle at the very bottom that you have to complete. The Gonarch Lair chapter is going to be in the C tier, though. I think it's a little bit better. I do think that the Gonarch boss battle kind of drags out a little too long. Not Black Mesa long. I mean, I know that the Gonarch battle drags out pretty darn long in Black Mesa. I'm not necessarily a fan of it myself, although I do think that all those scripted sequences are pretty cool. But you know, we're not talking about Black Mesa right now. We're talking about the original Half-Life. I just think it drags on for a little bit too long, and yeah, it's just not really my favorite thing in Half-Life, honestly. Interloper, on the other hand, deserves a little bit better. I'm going to put that in the B tier. I really do think that Zen really begins at Interloper. The architecture is very, very interesting. Graphics are pretty all right. The fights that you have, they're definitely more difficult. You know, they're buff, you know, they're alien grunts and everything as well that you have to fight. Vortigons coming from every direction. It's doable. It's doable. So that's why it's kind of mid. It's kind of straight in the middle in the B tier. I like it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. The Nihilanth, the Nihilanth, the Nihilanth, whatever you want to call it. I really don't know. You can call it whatever you want, man. I call it the Nihilanth. The big baby, the boss baby of the Half-Life universe. It's a boss battle. That's for sure. And I'm going to put it in the B tier right there. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. It's, you know, it can get a bit annoying maybe with the teleportation constantly. But apart from that, it's definitely not a bad way to end the game. I don't know. Once you've got it down, it's pretty simple. It's really not that big of a challenge. And I don't know. It's just the feeling that I have for it. It's just B tier. End game. It's the end of the game. Wow. It's gonna be C tier. Now look, it's the ending of the game. It's iconic. It's a G-Man speech, but there is really not a whole lot to do though. Like, it's just, you know, hearing the G-Man talk over basically no music whatsoever or anything else. It is definitely iconic, but in my opinion, there isn't a whole lot to it. Again, you're allowed to disagree with me all you want. Make your own tier list. I don't know, but this is my tier list. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's where my tier list ends. Look at that. Woo! But wait, isn't there another chapter? Where is Hazard Cores? Where's Hazard? Where? It's right here. Don't worry. I do have Hazard Cores. It belongs in the A tier. And that's it. Those are all of the Half-Life chapters ranked. What do you think? Do you agree with me, or do you think that Honor Rail deserves to be higher up the list? You don't, right? Well, let me know in the comments. I'm super curious to find out what you all think. Again, this was all just my opinion, so you having a different one from mine is totally normal and even pretty cool. Let's have a discussion. Also, let me know if I should rank chapters from other Valve games. This video is definitely different from what I normally make, but I just wanted to try something a little bit different this week. I hope you all appreciate it. Now, if you'd excuse me, I'm going to get this tier list professionally printed. You know, so I can hang it up in my hallway so people who enter my apartment will immediately be greeted by my opinions about Half-Life. Now that's an entrance.